Hi guys, hi guys, hi guys.
Hi.
Welcome back again to another juicy video. How are you guys doing? I know you are doing absolutely amazing. I know that I can see that there is a face that is very popular here on my channel. I've got my sister here with me. She's a fellow YouTuber, she's a fellow Ghanaian, and she's got a lot of vibe, a lot of stuff in her. And today I'm going to be discussing a very interesting topic about career progression in the NHS. She is a pro in the NHS. She's got all the content that you need to know about progressing and moving up the ladder in the NHS. But for the sake of those who don't know her, I would like her to introduce herself before we go into today's topic.
All right, so thank you so much, Becky. This is about the fourth or fifth time I'm appearing on the channel. She's more like a sister. We do vibe a lot here in the UK. Apart from doing videos, I mean, we just vibe a lot. We are all over the place here in the UK. So whenever we get the chance, we try to share our knowledge and experience with everybody. I also have a channel. My name is Dinah. I also migrated from Ghana as a registered nurse. I went through all of that process, writing IELTS, CBT, and migrated to the UK.
This COVID-19 became a real blessing to this my sister. She has had a lot of opportunities from COVID-19, and I think we've done a video already talking about the fact that she works in Parliament House. But before she got to Parliament House, she's been a band 6 for a very long time. She became a band 6 less than 1.5 years of arriving in the UK. So for the time she got into the UK to becoming a band 6 was less than a year and a half. And she's been a band 6 through COVID-19. So she's going to be telling us how she got to the band 6 through COVID-19. And I mean how you can also progress. She's going to be giving you some tips on how to progress if you are interested in career progression. So before we start, I want to ask you, you were a band 5. So what happened? What led you to becoming a band 6? What did you see? Or what time did you realize that you were ready to become a band 6 nurse?
Actually, as an overseeing nurse, sometimes you never really feel ready. You never really feel confident to even apply for a band 6 job. So for those of you who are not really aware of the ranking, for those of you who are not aware of the nursing ranking system, you start off as a band 5, just like most of us call it a band staff nurse back home. So I worked in that day surgery unit until the pandemic started showing up. So we were hoping that everything will go down. And then from the look of things, it didn't really look like COVID was going anywhere. So they shut down the day surgery unit. So actually, they didn't really know where to take us. So we were all moved to, they gave us 2 options, to either go to the emergency or to go to the ICU, because that was where they really needed more people.
I'll choose ICU over emergency.
Really, people were just flowing in and out of the ICU and the emergency like something, during the heat of the pandemic.
True.
So I had no option than to go to ICU, because I realized that most of my friends were opting to go to ICU. So I just followed them because
even me, I'll choose ITU, but
because I felt like I wouldn't want to go to number one, a strange environment and not really having any person that you are familiar with. So I just opted to follow my colleagues and then go to intensive care unit. It was so hectic over there because I had no background at all in intensive care unit. I didn't know my left from my right, so we just had to follow the intensive care unit nurses and then just do as we were told, until the COVID also started coming down. I mean, around summer, thereabouts, the COVID cases started going down. So the workload in the intensive care unit went down. So it was more like those of us who came there to help them were not really needed anymore, because there wasn't much for us to do. Our day surgery unit was still not open because doctors were still trying to avoid patient contact as much as possible. So you only needed to come to the hospital if it was an emergency. And my unit, we only did elective cases. So that is cases that were not really emergency. So they didn't really see the need for us to open that unit again. So it's like they still didn't know where to take us, even when they didn't really need it so much in the intensive care unit. So one day I was just going through my emails. I saw an email from the chief nursing officer in that hospital saying that they are opening a new hospital to look after people who have recovered from COVID. So it was more like a COVID
Rehab,
unit.
yeah.
So it was a fresh hospital. There was this old military hospital that had been abandoned or not in use for so many years. So they renovated that hospital and used it as a fresh hospital. So I just put my name down to go to this COVID rehab unit just to see what exactly we'll be going to do. So we had no idea what we're going to do. It was a new hospital that was set up all together. So I just opted to go, and then we had to go through some induction in that hospital until we finally got to start working. So that was where my sister chipped it in, that the COVID actually became a blessing in a way to some of us. And honestly, I will say that God has a way of rewarding everybody, because the kind of stress that we went through in that ICU during the pandemic, only God knows. So maybe it was God's way of rewarding some of us for the hard work that we did during the pandemic. So back to how this whole COVID, made me become a band 6. Because it was a new hospital they had set up, like I mentioned before, they were really in need of people. They were looking for band 5, band 6, rehabilitation assistants, physiotherapists, band 7 nurses, matrons, managers. They were looking for everybody that you can think, to start a whole hospital all together. So they really needed receptionists, they needed administrators. Oh my God, they needed everybody on board. Every category of professional they were looking for to set up that hospital, because most of the patients who recovered, who were in intensive care units from COVID, could not really walk.
Yeah.
Especially those who went into coma, they could not really
I had
walk.
a colleague like that. She went into coma for a very long time, and till date it's affected their mobility.
Yeah, so most of them could not get back on their feet. So that was the main reason why they set up that COVID rehabilitation hospital, just so that they help them back on their feet. So over there we had nurses, physiotherapists, who would always take them through the normal physiotherapy sessions to help them walk again. I just felt like, because I had been redeployed there, the intention was for me to go back to my old day surgery unit when it opened again. So when they advertised for honestly, a friend of mine just prompted me, because there is no way I would have actually set for. At that moment, I was just so stressed, because of the pandemic. I had no intention of applying for a band 6. And even if I saw a band 6 position at that time, there is no way I would have actually applied. So when we went to that place, I felt like, I've worked in the intensive care unit, I've worked in the surgical units, I've worked in the medical units.
And all those places are very hard.
All those places are very hard. So at least I've gained a bit of experience. So why don't I just give this band 6 a try? So I just did it, even just a day to the closing date, because I didn't know what I was going to tell my old manager, because the plan was just for me to be there, just for some time, and then go back to the day surgery when it opens again. But it looks like for some reason they were still not opening the day surgery unit, because they were still trying to avoid patient contact and only look after those who are needed emergency surgeries. So for those of us who were only doing elective cases, they didn't really see the need for us to open that unit again. So I had no try. I just decided to just give it a try, apply for this band 6, and then just see how it goes, because I was not really into it. I was not really looking forward to it now, because there's no way I would have felt ready. And let me not just say for overseas, one thing about me, sometimes, because you come from overseas, it feels like you don't really have that confidence to even apply. Sometimes you feel like you're not even worth it, you don't even deserve it. So that was the kind of feeling I was harboring in myself all along. So you feel like you don't even have the experience, you don't have the skills, I've not been in UK for that long. So what do I know to even apply for a band 6? More like a supervisory role. So I didn't really see myself as somebody who is even fit to become a band 6. But then I just gave it a try. So thank God I was just selected I was shortlisted for interview. I was so surprised, honestly, because I wasn't expecting it. It was just a friend who kept pushing and pushing for me to apply. So I just applied without even thinking of it or following it up, until I got a message that I had been shortlisted for interview. I was like, wow. I was so surprised. Seriously, I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't really into it. People do pray hard. People have worked for so many years. They are still band 5. They've gone for so many interviews. They've never been successful at interviews. So that was even one of the main reasons why I never even felt like I should just even bother myself applying for band 6. So I just gave it a try, and thank God I was shortlisted. I went for the interview, and the same day I did the interview, I was just going about my normal duties, shopping, and then I got a message from one of the managers who interviewed me to congratulate me for the offer of a bansis. And in that shopping center, I was like, what? I was like, seriously? And I didn't even know that over here, when you do an interview, you get a feedback, sometimes even the same day.
Yeah.
I never knew.
Usually it's at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But if the interview was not done in a day, they wait for the end of the interview. So if it took 2 days, because sometimes a lot of people, if it took 2 days, they wait for everything to finish, everybody to be interviewed. Then they give the results out.
So because it was a new hospital, I don't think a lot of people even knew that there was a
an
hospital like that.
application
Exactly.
going on.
Yeah. So I don't, and it was in a place where it was even so difficult to even get to. And the good thing is they offered us free accommodation for that whole period that we were in that COVID rehab unit. So that was another.
Wow.
So that was another. For almost like 9 months, I was not really paying rent as a band 6. So I got the band.
Listen, you were band 6 and you were not paying rent.
Yeah. So it was.
But you were taking your full salary.
Yes, as a band 6. It was all for that COVID rehab unit. So
wow.
So it was. If not for the COVID, like my sister said, this opportunity might not have even come for me to apply for the band 6 at all. So all in all, it was, I would not say that the COVID was a good thing, but then people did work hard. Every nurse in the UK and all over the world did work hard. So I mean, like I said, God has a way of rewarding people for their hard work. So maybe that was just a way of God rewarding me for this hard work that we did during the pandemic. So the pandemic in a way was a blessing for me.
Wow. So what would be your advice for overseas nurses who are trying to pursue their career, who are trying to move up the ladder? I know quite a lot of people who are stuck. They feel like they can't move up and they've given up on themselves. They're like, I'll just be band 5 for the rest. I actually worked with a lady. She retired when I was in that unit, and from the time she entered the NHS till the time she retired as a band 5.
Wow.
27 years of working the NHS
as a nurse, band 5.
So I felt there were 2 of them. One of them said she didn't want it because at a point she had the opportunity but she didn't want it. But the other one wanted it but she never had it.
Oh, good.
She said she never had it. So sometimes it's hard.
Yeah.
Now it's quite easier for some people, but for overseas nurses, some people it's not that easy. So what would be your advice to people like people that are generally stuck? They feel like they are stuck in their profession. What would be your advice for them?
So for me, like I said, sometimes the mere fact that you are from overseas, sometimes you tend to look down upon yourself in the first place.
Inferiority complex.
Yes, and there's lack of confidence because you feel like you don't really know the system very well.
True.
No matter how long it takes, you will never know everything. You will never know the system everywhere. So wherever you are, try so hard not to limit yourself. Try and explore other opportunities. Try to do overtime shifts in other departments, not just in your own hospital. Because the more you broaden your tentacles, the more you see what's going on in other departments. You get to meet people. You get to learn what is going on in other departments. So it kind of builds up your confidence. You learn a lot. You get experience. You see what other people are doing. And then you learn from it. The more you do that, the more it builds up your confidence. So if an opportunity like that comes up, at least you will feel a bit confident to go for it. And also take advantage of every opportunity. So when I saw this random email about the fact that they were looking for people to go to this new hospital, if I had not put my name forward, there is no way this bansis would have even come in the first place. True. So try as much as possible not to limit yourself. Don't be scared of moving around at all. If I had not taken that bold step to just leave that intensive care unit environment and move to this COVID rehab unit, this bansis story that we are telling you wouldn't have even happened. And I don't know if I would have ever had the confidence to apply for band 6 in the NHS.
True.
So this, me moving from that ICU to the COVID rehab unit was a blessing in disguise. So try so hard not to look down upon yourself. Don't limit yourself. Just push yourself forward. Even if you have to register with an agency to move to other hospitals or care home, do that, because that is how you get to build the confidence as an overseas nurse. I mean, sometimes we do limit ourselves, So you only get the confidence if you have the experience and also if you get to meet people.
This is a top-notch advice. And that's very, very true, because like for me, when I came to the UK, it didn't take me long. 3 months I started agency.
Yeah.
And that's how come I was very exposed. In a short time, I knew a lot that those that have been in the UK for long never ever knew or would never ever know. So the more you are open to learning, the more you are not scared to move around or to be thrown into an environment. That's how you learn. And if you're not sure, you ask questions. Don't look down yourself. Don't limit yourself. So this is a pro tip that our auntie in the field, the pro in the game, has given you. I hope it goes a long way to help a lot of people on this platform. All right, guys, if you have any suggestions or anything you want to say about this video, put them in the comment section and let's all interact and learn together. Until we meet again in our next video, guys, it's bye.